I was hoping that we'll be able to bring some form of closure to the June 12th crisis. All that we needed to do that day was to get a full, unconditional apology for what happened. If I was one of those who wrote the speech with him or for him, I would have ensured that we did not give any further excuses. Just come out, apologize to Nigerians, apologize to the families that were displaced, disrupted, destroyed, and I believe that would have closed it finally. But the moment I started hearing, excuses about, oh, we did it in national interest, we did it so that our democracy can survive. I don't think what we have today is a proper democracy. It's become a sham where the federal government wants to win every election, the state government wants to win every election, the local government is in disarray. So at the end of the day, what have we gained? People tell you, yes, I can declare myself, go to court. So what we have today is Kangaruism, which started after June 12th. June 12th would have been our best opportunity to put Nigeria on the right track.
I want to pick up from there, because when you look at everything, this is his book, writing, or rather sharing his side of the story. And over the years, just a little bit, we've had different reasons coming from IBB regarding the June 12th elections, ranging from national security, to which he has stuck to now, to also elite pressure, which he mentions, with mentioning Abacha being almost fully responsible for that decision. Do you think that this latest revelation from him in the book is credible, or is he seemingly trying to rewrite history to salvage his legacy? Do we believe that at this point in time now, IBB is truly telling the truth about what happened about the June 12th elections?
Whether credible or not, Abacha is dead. MKO Abiola is dead. So many people mentioned in the book, they are dead. So that's why I said the excuses were no longer necessary. Transferring, blames to others, I believe, was unnecessary. The speech would have been very okay to say on June 12th, I made a mistake, a very fatal mistake, costly mistake, unpardonable mistake, unforgivable mistake, but I beg the nation for forgiveness. I beg the families for forgiveness. Please forgive in the name of Allah and let us move on. I'm sure all these controversies would not have come up again. You can see the Abacha family now, they are fighting back, others are fighting back. All the active people during June 12th are feeling insulted. And so what are we saying? What are we trying to justify? That on June 12th, because of the fear that some people might kill you and kill Abiola, that was theoretical. It would have been better to take that risk. The path we took has virtually destroyed the democratic process in Nigeria. So that is why I believe, again, I don't know if there will be another opportunity. I think we need to foreclose this thing by just looking straight and speaking directly to Nigerians and telling them, I am sorry, I am sorry, I am sorry, I made a mistake. Yes, I truly regret it, but I'm sorry.
But given that, it seems that Nigerians are not getting that closure right now, Chief Momodu. As you said, Omoyele Sowore, the Abacha family,
it's
many
even opened
activists.
More wounds.
It's opened more wounds. And while he's regretting, I don't think I heard an I am sorry in that speech. Many people did not. We heard what it seems to be someone else having to take responsibility who's not alive to counter his narrative. So when we look at that, you see a country that in that moment in time had a destiny chosen for it. And he spoke about it being a national security thing, and that now he's happy to see that Nigeria is still together and Nigeria is still in a democracy. But you talked about this democracy being a kangaruism or a kangaruistic democracy in all of its entities. When we look at that and that singular decision made by IBB and possibly Abacha or Abacha and IBB, whatever equation you want to make, that singular decision changed Nigeria's history and changed Nigeria's trajectory. What do you think about it in terms of the fact that this is now a responsibility situation? This is now a conversation around historical revisionism. This is a conversation around even power and complicity, because some have argued that people like Babangida and even his former circle, including sometimes media elite, actually helped to shape a system that allowed political betrayal such as this. So do you think that Nigeria's elite at the time that this happened could have done anything else to prevent the annulment or even to push for justice afterwards? We're talking about almost 30 years after, if not, for the June 12th elections. Where has been the justice? You talked about families who lost loved ones. People can talk about what happened in the aftermath of the protest. Where has the justice
Even
been?
Chief Dele Momodu was also locked up at Alagbon Close for some time.
So is this going to be enough justice or enough answers for so many thousands of families?
You see, Nigeria is not the first country to go through political upheavals. We've seen even worse situations in Rwanda, in South Africa, in Germany, during World War II. The best way to foreclose this kind of monumental crisis is for everybody involved to offer unconditional apologies without excuses. I think the mistake in that speech was that Baba, as we call him, former President Babangida, had an opportunity to say that sorry finally through this book, but we were still hearing all kinds of platitudes, all kinds of excuses, all kinds of justification, which to me did not change anything. Nigerians have made up their minds long ago that June 12 killed the political process. So there is no excuse whatsoever, no matter how beautifully crafted, that is going to change that fact. So the only thing remaining at this stage, President Muhammadu Buhari has already accorded recognition to our president-elect, Chief Moshood Wole Abiola, and so that is one process at the end of the tunnel. The other process now is for us to have full unconditional apologies, and I'm sure even if some Nigerians still say no, people will say, what else do we want after apologies? In life, when you have wronged someone and you say, I am sorry, that's what my mother, unlettered mother, taught me, that if you offend someone, learn to say sorry. And this is an offense that is of incredible magnitude. It threw Nigeria into total chaos. And we have not recovered from it almost 33 years after. So that apology would have helped to assuage the ill feelings in the country. But unfortunately, I think we missed that opportunity. Yeah. When I got the invitation, I was in fact expectant that, okay, finally, we're all going to gather in a room. I believe in reconciliation. No matter how bad the situation is, we've seen it in South Africa, we've seen it in Rwanda. If you go to the Genocide Museum in Kigali, you will see how a country has tried to make the best of a terrible situation where millions of lives were wasted. You will see mass graves in the museum. But it seems Nigeria does not know how to manage crisis. Look at our civil war. Where can you go today that you will see the evil effect of the civil war and you become sober in the process? We are continuing like a country of gamblers. We just gamble and move on, and nothing moves us any longer. So people gathered in that place, and instead of getting that feeling of sobriety, what we saw was a feeling of celebration. So I think the management of that event, yeah, it was good to have a library. I don't have anything. I'm sitting in my own library here. There's nothing wrong with having a library, but It should have done in a different atmosphere. It looked almost like a carnival to a lot of people, and that is why people are complaining, and that's why some people are still angry that what exactly is going on. Those people put money down, and everything would have run smoothly.
Okay. Now, Chief Dele Momodu, you've said quite a lot. There are people that will argue with you that he wasn't even democratically elected, so the case of the presidential library does not arise, that it doesn't deserve to have one. But you've mentioned things that are quite instructive in your last submission. You talked about Rwanda, and we've seen South Africa Truth and Reconciliation Council. We've seen the TRC also in the Gambia in the aftermath of Yahya Jammeh's rule. Nigeria had a Theoputa panel, which was a hybrid of what Truth and Reconciliation Council will be composed of. Now, a nation cannot forge ahead without justice. There are lots of injustices. A lot of people are angry, and there are chapters in our nation's history that we can't just sweep under the carpet or bury our head in sand and assume it didn't happen. Do you suggest, because a lot of the dramatis personnel in Nigeria's history from 1966 January coup, a few of them are still alive. General Yakubu Gowon, for example, is still alive. General T.Y. Danjuma, former President Obasanjo, quite a number of these actors, General Alani Akinrinade, Alabi Sama, quite a lot of them are still alive. Do you suggest we should have another type of Truth and Reconciliation Council to have genuine healing as a nation, and those who have wronged people in one way or the other should come out and apologize? Are they duty bound to tell Nigerians their own stories, apart from writing books?
I don't think with the kind of economic disaster that we have in Nigeria at the moment, we can afford another round of jamboree of bringing leaders together in Abuja or wherever to be talking about truth and reconciliation. We all knew what happened on June 12th. We have all felt the effect of what happened on June 12th. What we needed to do, and we must do, is to apologize to Nigerians, to the families, and to all those who suffered one calamity or the other as a result of the June 12th annulment. So we don't need to have a Truth and Reconciliation Committee. It's just going to be another waste of time. But let those who were involved, and Babangida mentioned a lot of them in his book, so they can come together on their own, fund it on their own. I believe government was not the one that funded the event in Abuja. So let them come together and offer apologies live on television. Let the whole world see that we're truly sober, that we truly regret what happened. It's not just about saying it. We must come out and make sure that these apologies are offered urgently, because without it, we will keep going round in circles, and it's unfortunate. Absolutely. Because Nigeria has been bleeding since June 12, 1993. Nothing has changed.
So let's move on from that. Even though, as we said, Abacha's grandson has also raised alarm on these accusations and the family is speaking, but the book also sheds new light on the supposed Igbo coup theory, disputing its validity and also the negative impact it's had on the Igbo people. Furthermore, former military dictator Babangida criticized Gowon, who was present, for failing to provide adequate security for Igbos living in the north. Now, it's almost difficult to weigh which one of these revelations really had the biggest impact. It sort of depends on the side of this political spectrum and the probably regional spectrum you're on. But Chief Momodu, when you look at this revelation, this admission that there was not an Igbo coup, that in fact it was an Igbo man or Igbo men who stopped the coup, and it seems the country has been living a lie for so many years. If there are people calling for his prosecution based on the June 12th situation, what do we make of this revelation now? It's really quite interesting, because you see this a lot with political figures when time is ticking and they want to get everything off their chest. But sometimes in getting everything off your chest, you further burden people. You further leave confusion in your wake. So yes, he's cleared this up for Nigerians, but what do we do with it? And what do you think could have been done if we knew this earlier? Because that division, the continuous theory of an Igbo coup has shaped many political decisions and many futures in this country.
You see, as much as I see myself as a scholar, I do not like to engage in exercise in futility. I know for a fact that Nigeria is a mafia nation, and that is why this impunity can occur regularly and repeatedly. It's an exercise in futility to say go and prosecute Babangida when he's one of the major members of the owners of Nigeria. I came up with that theory in 1998-99, when General Abacha was contesting against Chief Olufalaye. And I tried to get Dr. Rinwan Lukman, who was at OPEC in Vienna at that time. I traveled to Vienna to persuade him to be a running mate to Chief Olufalaye. And Dr. Rinwan Lukman told me that the owners of Nigeria have decided that Obasanjo is the next president of Nigeria. And I said, are we not going to have an election? And he said, of course, you will have an election, but it's all preconceived, preconsidered, and then predetermined. So it is virtually impossible today, the way Nigeria is configured. You can see that even President Bola Tinubu, who fought Babangida, who fought Abacha, who were together in exile for 3 years in London. He couldn't spit fire the way we used to spit fire in those days. You know, so Nigeria has a way of sucking you in to the extent that you become a part of the system. And anybody who knows our country very well, we know that calling for the prosecution of either Gawan or Babangida or any of the principal actors is just an exercise in futility. The practical thing now is that we must find a way to make sure that such an event does not repeat itself and that we truly forgive ourselves. We need that full reconciliation for Nigeria to be at peace. Because right now, we may pretend that all is well, but all is not well with Nigeria.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, Chief Momodu, we often hear about the Maradonic nature of IBB, and his book has raised quite a lot of canker-worm. The talks about the annulment. He said it was the Navy Chief, his Vice President, Augustus Ikomo, Admiral Augustus Ikomo's Chief Press Secretary, Ndukaya Rabo, that made the announcement of the annulment, and it's also raised a flurry of other issues. Do you think, I mean, he's in the departure lounge now, do you think we might have to wait for a rejoinder? Because there's so many explanations he has to make, or we should just take it at surface value. Where do all these unanswered questions lead us to?
That's why I said all the explanations and justifications were not necessary. I was not in Nigeria on June 12th because Chief Abiola had sent me again to Vienna to represent him at the Bruno Kreisky Awards, where Chief Gadifahimi was awarded for human rights campaigns. And I left Vienna on June 12th to London. On June 14th, I called Prince Nduka Obaigina in Lagos, and he told me he's been trying to reach me, that I should try and reach Chief MKO Abiola urgently because he's going to win the election, but it seems the military is not ready to hand over to him. And I thought it was a bad joke, but it turned out to be the reality. So that's why I said it was preconsidered, and well executed. So it was not as if it was an error or just a mistake. It was an intentional mistake, which has become extremely costly for Nigeria.
Yeah.
So all I can say is that for now, let us hope that before all these our elders go back to God, that they will do what is right by coming together to show genuine remorse.
Have you forgiven?
They must be remorseful, genuinely, not that we will just wave it like, oh, it's a regrettable.
Now, personally, you were part of a struggle. You were detained. You also had to flee for your life. You were in exile. And June 12 means a lot to you. It's not hearsay. You were a part of and parcel of the struggle. Have you forgiven General Ibrahim Babangida for truncating June 12 and personal injuries to your person?
I am not God. I forgive easily. I forgave him long ago because for me, one, I'm a Christian, and biblical injunctions tell me that we must forgive our enemies, our traducers, 70 times, 7 times. So if I want to practice my religion squarely, I would say I do not have the capacity to harbor hatred against anybody. I leave people to God to judge them. Whatever the action or whatever you've done to me that I don't find comfortable. So it's not just about me, it's about the nation. But personally, I forgave him long ago because what else can I do? Nelson Mandela, after spending 27 years in prison, could come out and forgive those who put him in prison. He interacted with those who put him in prison. He traveled around the world and meeting the queens and the presidents of the world who supported apartheid. It shows that there is nothing that we cannot forgive in life. But what makes the forgiveness in Nigeria more difficult for a lot of people is this lack of direct apology.
Yes.
Once there is a direct apology, there is nothing more anybody can ask of him. And I'm hoping that there will be an opportunity again for him to say directly that I am very sorry. And that's all. I've always told people who are close to him, including my sister Aisha. Babangida played a crucial role in Nigeria. He had one of the best teams, a star-studded team, But June 12 just read everything that he achieved. For me, he would have been one of the greatest leaders of all time in Nigeria, but for this June 12 crisis, which I can see, he is truly, you can see that he is pained by it, but still doesn't know how to resolve it finally. And I'm saying it live on television today, it is not as difficult as it is to just say, look, I'm truly sorry. If possible, if you are going to pay visit, if they agree for you to visit them, to some of the families, visit them and, sympathize with them, empathize with them, and I'm sure it will assuage their feelings.
Chief Momodu, before we let you go finally, it does seem like at the end of the day that the annulment of June 12 will likely forever define Ibrahim Babangida's tenure as military dictator in Nigeria and his part in Nigeria's history. But there are those who have called for the federal government now, as one of the steps you say towards reconciliation, to mention or to announce that it was MKO Abiola that was that won the election, posthumously make him president and afford his family all that is due to him as a former president of Nigeria. What do you think of that suggestion?
Well, I don't see anyone better to do it than President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was an integral part of that battle for, the revalidation of the annulled election. But for political expediency, he might not be able to do it now. Maybe, hopefully, if he gets the second term, because I don't know who will get, who will be president in 2027. One of the things that must be done is to go beyond what President Buhari already did by recognizing Abiola, but by actually compensating some of those who suffered. Because you cannot imagine what we lost. But for God, many of us would have perished, and a lot of people did perish, So I'm not expecting anything from any government, but I believe the family of Abiola in particular, we lost a father, we lost a mother in Alhaji Kudirat Abiola, and so many other families were wasted. So something needs to be done, at least to show future generations that such a behavior will never occur again in our country.
All right, on that note, we wrap up this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, Chief Dele Momodu, owner and publisher of Ovation International Magazine. Thank you so much for your time this morning.